Alright, hello everybody. I wanted to make a very random video. Uh, Lately it's been pretty busy with projects and work and all. So I haven't had time to like kind of contemplate ideas to expand on you, to, you know, get you to think a different way. So I'm going to talk about a topic that will get into one of my favorite things, which is the human condition and human behavior and stuff like that. So my super random topic, sorry, I might be picking on myself as for my super random topic is Kurt Cobain. I wanted to talk about him for a while. Um, I I love Nirvana. I still love Nirvana, but like I was just so into them. When it was too late, obviously, I was. I remember going through. I think it was called the Warehouse, right? That's what it was called. This place that doesn't even exist anymore, called the Warehouse. It was a music store. It was like a Best Buy before I think even Best Buy was around. So and I just remember going through the albums, and like one of the albums covers that stuck out through all the bands and everything was that naked baby swimming in the ocean for I believe their Nevermind album. And I was just like, but I was too young. But they were so popular, so they're always in the forefront. Every store you go to, you'd see like that album cover, stuff like that. And it was just one of those things where then it's like, and you get fascinated by them and the tragic events. So it starts off as like, oh, I really like this band, but I know that they're not a band anymore, and the singer killed himself. And then you grow up a little bit and you're like, all right, he was a druggie, and he had some troubled lifestyle and stuff like that. So you're like, all right. And then like just more and more documentaries come out, and you just your curiosity, you find more interviews and just things like that, and you just kind of go like, dang. And I guess my point with all this is like, so I finally surpassed him in age, and so now he has this youthful look. Like the dude always looked like 30 to me when I was a kid. He never looked like he was 27, which was I think the oldest when he died. He looked like he was in his 30s, early 30s. So anyway, I surpassed him, and he's got this youthful look when you really look at the video now, and have these eyes of kind of more mature, older person looking at this guy. And you just kind of go, dang, man, like never meet your heroes. Because it's like, first you kind of idolized them, and now you just kind of see all these interviews and documentaries, and you just kind of go, yeah, he was super talented, great vocalist, great lyricist, and all, but he was just like kind of a dick. And like you could blame drugs, and you can blame the era, he was in a grunge era, and you had to be kind of like rough around the edges there and stuff. But just like I'd watch certain interviews, and it was like sometimes he would just try too hard to be poetic, or he would try too hard to like be cool. And I don't know if like the world has evolved now to where it's like, obviously I feel like cool is still defined as like, being cool is when you're not trying to be cool. And yet there were times when he was just purposely just trying to be like, yeah, I'm wearing sunglasses indoors, and like not really paying attention to the interview's questions and stuff like that. And you're just like, oh, God. And yeah, I still keep in mind it was the 90s or the late 80s, depending, and I get it. But at the same time, I'm just kind of going like, yeah, not really kind. And so I guess you can say he was just a young guy, but it just kind of broke my heart, because I was like, oh God, I still love them, and it just always kills me. It reminded me when I saw like a Korn interview, and like the bassist, yes, I like Korn, and the bassist was like, you know, I had to fire a PA because he got the wrong donuts. It's like, how do you mess that up? And he was like pissed that he got, the wrong donuts. And I see his point in terms of like, it was a simple task. But on the other hand, he like ruined a life over donuts. And so going back to Kurt Cobain, it's like The last thing I saw of him was that HBO documentary you can find, and I forgot what the documentary is called. Cobain, or it's like the title of one of his songs, or something like that. But yeah, you just watch the whole documentary and just kind of going like, guy just didn't like. He was like he knew his direction. Like there were things he could have shaped up, but he just chose not to. Like what was in his suicide note? He was saying, I'd rather be a burnout than a sellout, or something like that, or I'd rather be forgotten than, whatever. But anyway, it was just like, okay, like that was over dramatic. You could just chalk that up to being like young, just a young dude who like whatever had issues, and I'm sure things were a lot darker than what the documentaries cared to explain. But I'm just kind of going, man, just treat people nicely, you just my points that I'm trying to make are just like, as the human behavior goes on and evolves and stuff like that, I'm hoping that I can be a human that no matter how big or small I get, I just can still treat people with dignity. Anytime somebody asks for something, you just gotta assume, it's like they're not trying to be annoying on purpose. There's a want that they need, if that makes sense. There's something that they need, and it's just like we're programmed right now to not want to help people, and it's just really interesting. And whatever the task is, humor people. It's an interesting time because we get all these. You get people that I'll tell you this one anecdote because I'm kind of stuttering right now, and I'll leave out names even though I don't want to. So I was fortunate enough to get backstage passes to this band, and not a huge band, but pretty big. And it was at the Hollywood Bowl, and actress singer was there, and she was one of the openers and stuff, and big name. Anyway, she was such a B and such a C to my S, and it was just like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, just be kind to people. Just a photo, just an autograph. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. And like, don't worry, I've seen videos of like paparazzi or interviewers or whatever. Just they're being a holes too. But that's where you gotta be smarter. If you let them get to you, then dang, because you just gotta learn the game. Their whole game is to get something interesting out of you. If you just like interview and they're boring, or you're boring, the interview is just not gonna be that fun. It'll be long forgotten. So they're gonna try to jab you or say something that will get you going, so that their video, you know, pops out from all the rest. So you just kind of look back at like Kurt Cobain and go, okay, this young guy, late 20s, just trying to act too cool for school, like things that I thought he said that were wise just sounded very flowery. They weren't wise, they were just flowery. He said a lot of fluff. And so you just kind of go, okay, once you kind of raise your intelligence to the next level, and you just kind of like, all right, and then you look back at some people and you're like, okay, you're just an artist, you're everything's awesome, I put so much time in this and looking for the, and you talk about the metaphors and all my lyrics and the analogies and all that, and life is a flower and we just gotta wait for it to blossom and we're all dust in the wind. You know what I mean? You're just kind of going, okay, but you're not really saying anything. And so I was just kind of like, so that's like my Kurt Cobain thing. I'm just kind of going like, man, he was kind of mean. He wasn't that like, he didn't say anything that was like too far out. It's just all poetry and all that. But remember, just to put that on a disclaimer, I love the band. I love the music. It's just a pity because it's like, 20, 30 years later, and you're just kind of going, yeah, all right, Times were different back then, for sure. But yeah, that was my anecdote. Those were my thoughts on Kurt Cobain. Just talking about human behavior and how it's just, you know, I just never understand people that are just like, we all go through our own stuff. We all have our crazy burdens, but then to just like cast that out onto people. I want to say for the most part, I'm pretty good at just being like, look, I'm tired or I'm upset or something. Can you please just like leave me alone for the moment? And they still get butthurt. They still go like, oh, like, it's like, no, I just literally gave you my disclaimer and you're still hurt by this. Just back off and come back in a few days when I'm like better. But it's just like, some people don't even do that. They're just like, oh, we got our own troubles. That allows me to be a dick to some other human being who has no idea what's going on in your life. So I try really hard to like vocalize the extent of how much I'm willing to help. I'm just talking about like interviews or questions or something like that. If somebody goes, hey man, blah blah, and they want something from me, I'll just straight up be like, dude, I can't help you. I have no idea. Or I'll try to help to as much as I can. But I kind of want to be that like billionaire businessman because I want to know how true it is with just like how busy people get. Because from what I've learned, just being on the bottom and working in offices, they're not, they're not busy. They're just they're doing whatever. But they always got time, to do something like take a phone call or write an email. So it's just like I kind of go, yeah, it's just BS. Not saying that we should all be robots and every time we, we answer everything, but if there's somebody who's persistent or means well or something, just throw them a bone. You know what I mean? I just think about this interviewer who's just interviewing Kirk. You're just like picking on him. It was like a jocks versus nerd. It's like this total irony of how he was talking to this interviewer. The Nirvana being the jocks, and then they're so mean to him, and he's just like, oh, like he wasn't asking the right questions and all that. It's just like, who cares? Just humor the dude. Just play along, Like let him do his thing. Yeah, he's a bad hitter. Tell him off camera afterward what he could do better. Like whatever. But just the whole idea of just like being a dick to him. Anyway, cool. That was it. All right, bye bye.